Welcome to the Deep Dive. Today, we're diving into something every business wants to figure out,
Yeah.
how to ethically get customers to buy more. We're taking a deep dive into your notes on Lifecycle Marketing for Dummies by Product Marketing, Wiz Tyler Dorsey.
Oh, yeah, it's fascinating stuff. Dorsey really challenges the traditional sales mindset. He argues that, it's less about pushing for more sales and more about truly understanding where your customer is in their journey and then meeting their needs at that precise moment.
Okay, yeah, let's unpack this. Right off the bat, Dorsey throws around terms like re-engagement and reactivation, which, let's be honest, can sound a bit jargony. Can you break those down for us in plain English?
Sure.
And maybe give us an example or two of what this looks like in action.
Absolutely. Imagine you're a customer and you signed up for a newsletter about, say, sustainable living tips.
Well,
You were super engaged for a few weeks, opening every email, clicking the links, but then, life happens, work got crazy, you went on vacation, you haven't engaged with that brand in months.
right.
That's where re-engagement comes in.
Okay.
It's the brand's way of kind of rekindling the flame, reminding you why you were interested in the first place without being too pushy.
Okay.
It could be as simple as a well-timed email with a subject line like, missed our latest sustainability hacks.
Okay, so it's about gently nudging them, not hitting them over the head with a sales pitch.
Precisely. Now, reactivation is similar, but it's usually for customers who've been inactive for even longer. Maybe they haven't purchased anything in over a year.
Right.
Think about those we miss you emails you might get from your favorite online store, often with a tempting discount code.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
It's like they're waving a little flag saying, hey, remember us.
Exactly. And this reminds me of a point Dorsey makes that really struck me, the idea that sometimes, customers aren't actually disengaged. They're just busy or dealing with something else.
Yeah.
He tells this story about a company hounding a client over a missed payment, only to find out that the client's mother had just passed away.
Wow.
It's a powerful reminder that there's often a lot more going on behind the scenes than we realize.
Wow, that's a real gut punch.
Yeah.
It makes you realize we should all approach these situations with a little more empathy.
Yeah.
You never know what someone might be going through.
Exactly, which is why Dorsey emphasizes the importance of understanding the signs of disengagement early on before it becomes a bigger issue.
Right.
He points to things like declining email open rates, website visits, or social media engagement as red flags.
Yeah, it's about noticing those subtle shifts in behavior, like when a friend who's usually super active on social media suddenly goes quiet.
Right.
It might not mean anything major, but it's worth reaching out and checking in.
Exactly. And speaking of reaching out, Dorsey's take on reconnection really resonated with me.
Right.
It's not just about setting a follow-up email, it's about addressing what he calls temporary disconnections with your audience.
Okay, so let's talk about reconnection. What are some ways businesses can reconnect with their audience in a way that feels natural and helpful, not forced or salesy? I imagine it takes more than just a generic "we miss you" message.
You're right, it does take more. It's about understanding the context of their previous interactions with your brand.
Right.
Let's say someone downloaded a free guide from your website a few weeks ago about, say, healthy meal prep.
Okay.
A well-timed reconnection email might offer additional tips, link to relevant blog posts, or even point them towards a recipe book you think they'd love.
Okay, so it's about providing value and staying top of mind without being overly promotional.
Exactly. You're essentially saying, hey, remember that thing you were interested in? Here are some additional resources you might find helpful. It's about nurturing the relationship, not just going straight for the sale.
Right, that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
So we're not just randomly popping back into their inbox. We're showing up with something valuable to offer.
Yeah.
Now, Dorsey also talks about this interesting concept called the 4x4 exercise. Can you tell us more about that?
Absolutely. This is where things get really interesting.
Okay.
The 4x4 exercise is all about staying laser focused on your audience's needs over a 16-week cycle.
Okay.
Basically, you identify 4 key things your audience wants or needs.
Okay, so if I'm a company that sells eco-friendly cleaning products, my 4 things might be effectiveness, safety, sustainability, and affordability.
You got it. Now, for each of those 4 things, you come up with 4 different ways to talk about them over a 16-week period.
Sure.
So maybe one week you're highlighting customer testimonials about how well your product's clean.
Yeah.
And the next week, you're sharing a blog post about the natural ingredients you use.
So it's about diversifying your messaging and finding creative ways to keep those 4 key things top of mind for your audience.
Yes.
But why 16 weeks specifically?
Great question. Dorsey believes it takes about 16 weeks to build trust with a customer in today's market.
Oh, okay.
Think about your own content calendar. Over the next 16 weeks, how can you consistently deliver value on those 4 key things your audience cares about? It's about playing a long game, building relationships, and establishing credibility.
That's a really interesting point.
Yeah.
We often hear about the importance of consistency, but putting a concrete time frame on it, like those 16 weeks, makes it feel much more tangible and actionable.
Right.
It's not about bombarding people with daily emails. It's about showing up consistently with valuable content that resonates with their needs.
Exactly. And speaking of resonating with your audience, I love how Dorsey reframes the concept of reacquisition.
Okay, let's talk about reacquisition. To me, that sounds a lot like just launching new products all the time to keep people interested, which can be unsustainable and honestly a bit overwhelming for everyone.
I hear you. But Dorsey flips the script on that.
Okay.
He argues that reacquisition isn't about constantly chasing the new. It's about recognizing the cyclical nature of things and strategically reintroducing what worked well in the past. He uses the example of McDonald's McRib sandwich.
Oh, you're not about to try and make me crave a McRib, are you?
Laughs, maybe. But hear me out.
Right.
The McRib is a perfect example of a product that's strategically brought back for a limited time,
Right.
creating a sense of excitement and urgency among those who love it. It plays on that nostalgia factor. You could apply this to all sorts of things.
Okay, so instead of feeling pressured to constantly reinvent the wheel, maybe there's a way to tap into those things that resonated with your audience in the past.
Yeah.
Like a clothing brand bringing back a vintage design, or a tech company re-releasing a beloved product with updated features.
Right, right.
That makes a lot of sense.
You got it. And this ties in nicely with Dorsey's approach to the reapproach method, which I think deserves its own dedicated deep dive. You're right, the reapproach method deserves more attention. Have you ever had that moment where you realize you really messed up with a friend and you're trying to figure out the best way to approach that conversation?
Right?
That's kind of what the reapproach method is all about in the context of business.
Yeah, it's like, okay, how do I acknowledge the elephant in the room without making things worse?
Exactly.
I'm guessing humility is a big part of it.
Absolutely. Dorsey emphasizes the importance of taking ownership when things go wrong.
Right.
Maybe a customer received a damaged product, or you had a technical glitch that impacted their experience.
Right.
It's about going beyond a generic apology and demonstrating genuine remorse and a willingness to make things right.
So what does that look like in practice?
Well, imagine you're that company that accidentally shipped the damaged product.
Sorry.
Instead of just sending a replacement, you could include a handwritten apology note from a real person, maybe even offer a discount on their next purchase. It's about turning a negative experience into an opportunity to showcase your commitment to customer satisfaction.
I love that. It feels so much more authentic than a generic automated email.
Right.
Okay, so we've covered a lot of ground here. Re-engagement, reactivation, reconnection, the 4x4 exercise, and the reapproach method.
Yeah.
Before we move on, I want to circle back to something you mentioned earlier, retargeting. I think a lot of people, myself included, have a bit of a love-hate relationship with retargeting.
Right.
On the one hand, it can feel a bit creepy, like the internet is reading our brains. But on the other hand, if done well, it can be really helpful and save you from that, wait, where did I see that product again? Moment.
I hear you, retargeting definitely gets a bad rap sometimes.
Yeah.
And you're right, when it's done poorly, it can feel incredibly invasive, like those ads that follow you around the internet after you've looked at a product once. But Dorsey makes a great point about how retargeting, when done right, can actually feel serendipitous for the customer.
So how do you walk that fine line between helpful and creepy? What are some examples of retargeting done right?
It's all about being strategic and understanding the customer journey.
Okay.
Think about those. You might also like sections you see on websites like Amazon.
Right.
Those are often based on your browsing history and past purchases.
Right.
The key is to use that data to provide genuine value and enhance the customer experience.
Right.
Not just to bombard them with irrelevant ads.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah.
So if I'm shopping for, say, a new pair of running shoes, it's not creepy if I start seeing ads for other running gear or maybe even local races I might be interested in.
Right, right.
But if I start seeing ads for, like, cat toys, when I don't even own a cat, that's when it crosses the line, right?
Exactly. Another example Dorsey gives is using retargeting to bring people back to an abandoned cart.
Oh, yeah.
You know, when you put a bunch of stuff in your online cart and then get distracted and forget about it.
Oh, yeah. I'm definitely guilty of that.
A well-timed retargeting email can actually be helpful in that scenario.
Oh, okay.
It's not just about reminding you that you have items in your cart.
Right.
It's about offering an incentive to complete the purchase, like free shipping or a small discount.
It's like they're saying, hey, we know you're busy, but we saved your spot in line. And here's a little something extra to thank you for coming back.
Exactly. When done right, retargeting can be a win-win for both the customer and the business.
This is making me realize that lifecycle marketing is really about building a relationship with your customers at every stage of their journey, not just trying to make a quick sale and move on.
Couldn't have said it better myself.
Yeah.
It's about building trust, providing value, and being there for your customers even when they're not actively looking to buy.
Right.
And this is where Dorsey's insights into building a cohesive lifecycle marketing strategy really come into play.
It's like we're putting all the pieces of the puzzle together to see the bigger picture of the customer journey.
Exactly. And that's what makes lifecycle marketing so powerful. It encourages businesses to take a holistic view,
Right.
recognizing that every interaction, from a website visit to a social media comment,
Right.
contributes to the overall relationship.
So it's not about treating each interaction as a standalone event, but rather as a chapter in a much longer story, right?
Exactly.
But how do you actually put this into practice?
Yeah.
I'm imagining a giant whiteboard covered in complex flowcharts.
It can feel overwhelming at first, but it doesn't have to be that complicated. A good starting point is to map out the different stages of your customer lifecycle.
Okay, walk me through that.
Sure.
What are those stages?
Well, it varies depending on your industry and business model, but generally speaking,
Okay.
you have stages like awareness, where potential customers first learn about you, consideration, when they're actively researching and comparing options,
Okay.
purchase, the moment of truth, post-purchase, where you focus on satisfaction and retention,
Right.
and advocacy, when happy customers become raving fans who recommend you to others.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah.
You need to know where someone is in their journey before you can figure out how to guide them to the next step.
Exactly. And within each stage, there are opportunities to engage, nurture, and re-engage your audience using the tactics we've been discussing.
Okay.
For example, in the awareness stage, you might focus on content marketing and social media to reach new audiences.
Then in the consideration stage, you might offer free trials or demos to encourage people to experience your product or service firsthand.
Precisely. And in the post-purchase stage, you'd focus on things like exceptional customer support, personalized onboarding,
Right?
and maybe even loyalty programs to encourage repeat business.
It's like a dance, really.
Mhm.
You're gracefully guiding your customers through each stage of their journey, building trust and rapport along the way.
Beautifully said. And that's what makes Dorsey's approach so refreshing.
Yeah.
He emphasizes that lifecycle marketing is about building meaningful, lasting relationships with your customers, not just chasing quick sales.
It's about recognizing that every interaction is an opportunity to deepen that relationship and create a truly remarkable customer experience.
Exactly.
This has been incredibly insightful. Dorsey's book really challenges us to rethink how we approach customer relationships.
It really does.
It's not about bombarding people with offers, but about truly understanding their needs and showing up for them at every stage of their journey.
I completely agree. It's about building trust, providing value, and creating experiences that resonate, ultimately turning customers into loyal advocates for your brand.
Well said. One final thought to leave you with. Dorsey talks about the importance of understanding your customer's journey. But what if, instead of just understanding it, you could anticipate their next move? What if you could use data and insights to create truly personalized experiences that feel both intuitive and delightful? Something to chew on as you put these insights into action. Until next time, on The Deep Dive.